You're sitting on your couch. The movie is ending. The character you've been following for 2 hours just said goodbye to someone they love. And suddenly, you feel it. Your throat tightens. Your eyes sting. And then the tears come. You're crying. You're not hurt. You're not in pain. You're watching a fictional character on a screen. And yet your body is responding as if something real is happening. This is emotional crying. And it is one of the strangest, most mysterious, and most uniquely human things you will ever do. No other animal on Earth does this. Not dogs, not chimps, not elephants, not even dolphins. Only humans cry emotional tears. And scientists still don't fully agree on why. Let's start with the obvious question. What are tears? Tears are produced by the lacrimal glands, small almond-shaped glands located above each eye. They're mostly water, but they also contain salt, oil, and antibodies. They keep your eyes lubricated, protected, and healthy. These are called basal tears. Then there are reflex tears, the ones that flood your eyes when you chop onions, get dust in your eye, or are exposed to smoke. These are designed to flush out irritants. But then there's a third type, psychic tears, emotional tears. These are triggered by feelings, sadness, joy, frustration, relief, grief, even laughter. And they're different. They contain higher levels of proteins and hormones, including leucine and enkephalin, an endorphin-like painkiller, and prolactin, a hormone associated with stress. Your body is literally producing a natural painkiller when you cry. And yet, the question remains, why? Why would evolution give us this messy, vulnerable, socially awkward response? Why would an animal that relies on survival develop a mechanism that makes you literally weaker in front of others? The answer, or at least the leading theory, is that crying is a social signal. In 1982, a psychologist named Ad Vingerhoets at Tilburg University in the Netherlands began studying crying in a serious, scientific way. He spent decades collecting data on tears and emotions. His conclusion? Crying is primarily a way of communicating. It's a signal. It says to the people around you, I need help, I'm vulnerable, I'm overwhelmed. And that signal is remarkably effective. When you cry, people respond. They approach you, they comfort you, they ask what's wrong. In a species that survives by cooperating, that is incredibly valuable. But here's where it gets strange. Crying doesn't just communicate to others, it also communicates to yourself. In a 2012 study, researchers found that people who cried felt better afterward. But only if they received social support. If they cried alone, they didn't get the same benefit. The tears themselves didn't make them feel better, the social response did. So crying is not just about releasing emotion. It's about bringing people closer. It's about asking for help. It's about being human. And yet, crying is deeply tied to vulnerability. When you cry, you're showing the world that you're not in control, that you're hurting, that you need something. And that vulnerability is dangerous. It makes you a target. But in humans, it's also a strength. It's a sign that you trust the people around you. It's a sign that you have relationships worth protecting. It's a sign that you're human. But there's another piece to this puzzle. The duration of crying. The average crying episode lasts about 6 minutes, and most people cry about once or twice a month. But there's enormous variation. Some people cry more, some cry less. And women, on average, cry more often than men. This has been documented in dozens of studies. In one study, researchers found that women report crying an average of 2.5 times per month, while men report only 0.5 times per month. But the reasons for this difference are still debated. Some argue it's biological, related to the hormone prolactin. Others argue it's cultural, because men are socialized not to cry. But the most interesting part of this whole story is the one nobody talks about. Crying doesn't just happen when you're sad. It happens when you're happy, when you're overwhelmed, when you're relieved, when you're laughing so hard you can't breathe. In 2017, a group of researchers published a study on dimorphous expressions, situations where people show the opposite emotion of what they're feeling. Crying at a wedding, laughing at a funeral. It's your brain's way of regulating overwhelming emotion, a way of resetting your emotional state, a way of bringing you back to equilibrium. So what does this all mean? It means that emotional crying is one of the most uniquely human behaviors we have. It's not a weakness, it's a tool, it's a signal. It's a way of connecting to others and to yourself. And it's something no other animal on Earth can do. Darwin himself, the father of evolution, was fascinated by crying. He devoted an entire chapter of his book, The Expression of the Emotions in Man and Animals, to tears. He observed that babies cry to signal distress and that adults cry for similar reasons. But he couldn't explain why humans cry emotional tears. He didn't have the data. Now we do. And the data suggests that crying is a deeply social, deeply human behavior. There's also evidence that crying helps you regulate your own emotions. In 2024, a team of researchers published a study showing that people who cry experience a measurable decrease in cortisol, the stress hormone. The tears themselves contain cortisol. You're literally crying out your stress. In other words, crying might actually be a form of emotional release. It might help you feel better, but only if it's accompanied by social support. And that brings us back to the beginning. You're sitting on your couch. The movie is ending. The character you love is saying goodbye. And the tears come. You're not sad about your own life. You're sad about a fictional person on a screen. And yet, your body responds as if it's real. That's the power of empathy. That's the power of crying. It connects you to other people. It connects you to yourself. It's the signal that you're human. So the next time you feel those tears coming, don't hold them back. Let yourself cry. Let yourself feel. Because crying is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of being human. It's the mark of a social animal. And it's something no other creature on this planet can do.